Our daily Bible reading for May 15th. Our reading today comes from the Gospel of John, chapter 6. We'll begin reading with verse 25. When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, "Rabbi, when did you come here?" Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you are seeking me, not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For on him God the Father has set his seal." Then they said to him, "What must we do to be doing the works of God?" Jesus answered them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent." So they said to him, "Then what sign do you do that we may see and believe you? What work do you perform? Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat." Jesus then said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." They said to him, "Sir, give us this bread always." Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet do not believe. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never cast out. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that he has given me, but raise it up on the last day. For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who looks on the Son and believes in him should have eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day." So the Jews grumbled about him because he said, "I am the bread that came down from heaven." They said, "Is not this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How does he now say, 'I have come down from heaven'?" Jesus answered them, "Do not grumble among yourselves. No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I will raise him up on the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they will all be taught by God. Everyone who has heard and learned from the Father comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from God. He has seen the Father. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes has eternal life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, and they died. This is the bread that comes down from heaven, so that one may eat of it and not die. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And the bread that I give for the life of the world is my flesh." The Jews then disputed among themselves, saying, "How can this man give us his flesh to eat?" So Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so whoever feeds on me, he also will live because of me. This is the bread that came down from heaven, not like the bread the fathers ate and died. Whoever feeds on this bread will live forever." Jesus said these things in the synagogue as he taught at Capernaum. When many of his disciples heard it, they said, "This is a hard saying. Who can listen to it?" But Jesus, knowing in himself that his disciples were grumbling about this, said to them, Do you take offense at this? Then what if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It is the Spirit who gives life. The flesh is no help at all. The words that I have spoken to you are spirit and life. But there are some of you who do not believe. For Jesus knew from the beginning who those were who did not believe, and who it was who would betray him. And he said, "This is why I told you that no one can come to me unless it is granted him by the Father." After this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer walked with him. So Jesus said to the 12, "Do you want to go away as well?" Simon Peter answered him, "Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life, and we have believed and have come to know that you are the Holy One of God." Jesus answered them, "Did I not choose you, the 12, and yet one of you is a devil?" He spoke of Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, for he, one of the 12, was going to betray him. Now some thoughts for today. Sometimes the truth hurts, especially when it is that which we have tried to conceal or have ulterior motives sought for after a goal. King David attempted this when he had Uriah put on the front line so as to have him killed. In doing this, David hoped to cover up the scandalous deed he had done by committing adultery, and in the process, Bathsheba became pregnant with his child. Of course, the crowds that followed Jesus were not committing heinous crimes by tagging along simply for food. Still, their motives were plain to see. Jesus does not rebuke them here, but rather uses this as a teaching moment to show them deeper spiritual meanings. Jesus begins by referencing the food they should be striving for is not the kind that perishes, but the enduring bread that comes from the Father in heaven. Imagine yourself in that crowd hearing the comparison of manna and the true bread of life. Jesus plainly gives them the type and antitype for their knowledge. The crowd does not find offense in his plain talk, but rather seeks further knowledge. Verse 28 says, "They said therefore to him, 'What shall we do that we may work the works of God?'" Their genuine desire is met with even further teaching, but it is at this point that the crowd, even having seen the miracles he had performed, was still seeking for a sign. Now, Jesus' analogy to the Israelites becomes even more pertinent. For just as the Israelites were provided for in the wilderness and yet grumbled and doubted, so the Jews in Jesus' day would not believe, having seen the manifold signs themselves. Their offense proved that what they were after was not spiritual truth, but the physical comforts afforded by the food Jesus provided. This they could not conceal. A question for the day. Are we really committed if we are only in it for what God can give us? A thought to meditate on this day. Jesus' analogy of the manna and the bread of life is particularly meaningful in light of the sustenance we are given for our souls. Those are our thoughts for today, May 15th.